Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Snow Control, piloted by Pyle Souza himself, versus Lucas on Wrenn and 6 Delver. Both of these decks really made possible with the new Modern Horizons printings. Wrenn and 6 prominent in both decks. And this Delver strategy, really the more aggressive version of the two. Snow Control slowing it down, running things like Baleful Strix. Some builds actually running the Icefang Coatl as well, or in kind of replacing the Baleful Strix. We will see if the Flash ends up being relevant versus the Death Touch, no matter what your permanents are. Those type of things will get sorted out over the next several years, I'd imagine. Really tough to know precisely what's best, as the metagame is just incredibly complex. Now we see I believe a Fiery Islet and a Dreadhorde Arcanist. Brainstorm with Fetchland here. And Lucas has had a lot of success with this Wrenn and 6 Delver list, so Pyle may actually know exactly what he's up against here. Not sacking that fetch land could indicate he's giving himself a chance to take that top guard if he wants it. And Dreadhorde Arcanist going to be serious enough to Force of Will, pitching Jace the Mind Sculptor. A card that the Snow Control builds are running enough of that they can actually afford to pitch him when need be. Fetching again. And a Wrenn and 6 threatens to begin the card advantage. Lucas, hand to face, sees that this Spell, Snare, and Daze not going to be able to stop this Wrenn and 6. Fiery Islet. We see a young Pyromancer at the front of the hand. And that does not line up fantastic versus this Wrenn and 6. It will be able to take out the 2-1 and then eventually that 1-1 as well. So Pyromancer, really not a great play, but it will slow down the card advantage that would have otherwise been created. Of course, pinging first. Do not want to play a spell into a Daze. Baleful Strix, and now Ponder. I missed the card draw off the Baleful Strix. Perhaps it was the Ponder. I didn't actually see a card go to hand. This lone elemental token feeling very vulnerable. Wrenn and 6 going to be totally content to take it out. Leovold now. Abrupt Decay. Targeting the Leovold. Lucas clarifying that it's not the token that is getting destroyed. And Baleful Strix actually turning sideways here. Really nothing that can really punish that. Arkham's Astrolabe and Pyle's mana just continues to get better. Wrenn and 6 going to pull it together every turn with fetch lands, either adding to the mana base or giving extra cards in hand to put back with effects like Brainstorm. Fiery Islet and company, capable of producing live draws. Be interesting to see long term how they kind of stack up. I mean, fetch lands do technically draw a card, only it puts it directly into play. It's almost better than drawing a card. in many ways. When you need a land, of course. When you don't need a land, when you're trying to draw into just a live spell, obviously the Horizon lands are capable of doing that. Thoughtseize sees a Force of Will and a Snapcaster Mage. Force of Will potentially going to be able to be hardcast here on the next turn. And now Dreadhorde Arcanist does land. Ticking up, grabbing a land. And this Dreadhorde Arcanist will be able to trade with the Baleful Strix. Another Strix. And turning sideways, Lucas's life total actually a bit of an issue here, down to 10. The evasion from these Baleful Strixes could become an issue. Renin 6 goes down with this Lightning Bolt, and now Lightning Bolt coming back, and now having swung with Baleful Strix feels terrible. Going to enable double duty off of this Dreadhorde Arcanist. Main deck Plague Engineers, a thing we're starting to see, and it is punishing versus so many cards here. Renin 6 returning that Fiery Islet, allowing Lucas to spend some mana to draw an extra card each turn now. Wasteland targeting the Tropical. Renin 6 returning Wasteland. 1 damage at the Renin 6. Sending and trigger Brainstorm. Improving Lucas's hand. Renin 6 returning the land. And Crucible of Worlds was already a very solid card. Tacking on all these other abilities is really something. This Renin 6 Firefight. All about incremental advantage, either getting extra lands back, converting those lands into cards, or pinging where appropriate. Wasteland on Tropical Island. Renin 6 returns the land and takes another swipe. And declining to take out this Baleful Strix so far. Lightning Bolt, Baleful Strix is tapped, so no blocking. We've got Spell Pierce to brush aside this hardcast Force of Will on the flashed back Lightning Bolt. So Renin 6 down for the count on Pyle's side. With just a 1-1, going to be difficult to clear this opposing Renin 6. This Dreadhorde Arcanist also generating tremendous card advantage as the game goes on. So this game actually kind of out of hand for both players. This is not what either player would like to see. The opponent's just doing a little bit too much work, force pitching Daze, and that is a fair trade for this Fatal Push. Swinging again at Renin 6, keeping it down to 3. And opposing Renin 6. As these Planeswalkers battle incrementally, getting back lands. Will it finally clear this Baleful Strix? Oh, Tarmogoyf. That is a beefy card here. Could be exactly what the doctor ordered. Likely wrap this thing up in just a couple of turns. If not now, when? Returning Tropical Island. And there's a Goyf. Keeping 2 mana open, could be just about anything. Fatal Push, clearing the Goyf. Wasteland again. Baleful Strix gets cleared. And these life totals have not fluctuated that much given the amount of combat that we've seen. We've had a ton of flashing back off of this Dreadhorde Arcanist. Both players doing quite a lot of card manipulation, reuse of cards. A fetch land now, down to just 6. And Lightning Bolt, Snap, Lightning Bolt, now a consideration. Getting within range of burn. Something to be mindful of in these type of control matchups. Baleful Strix. Delver flips, revealing Brainstorm. A land in hand. And now Delver, having flipped, turns this into a 2-turn clock here. Will these creatures manage to get Kyle out of there, or will he find some burn to finish this out, accidentally showing a Force of Will? Reactionary cards not going to be of use here. This game will be over in 2 turns unless he finds some answers. A Fatal Push will work. Force, we see a Force back. Now it's just Dreadhorde Arcanist to answer, along with this Wrenn and 6. A lot of work to be done. Brainstorm. Ooh, and a True Name Nemesis. That's some real inevitability. Once he sticks, very little can be done about him. There's just a couple of cards in all likelihood. Plague Engineer, taking up most of the space at this point. A Lightning Bolt, and now True Name putting lethal on board, and that will do it. Moving on to game number 2, a hard-fought game number 1. And will we have time for all 3 games here? Can Kyle force a second game? And will they be able to finish a third? That game took quite some time. I'm not actually sure who that favors, depending on where this is in the tournament. No matter what, to get any type of positive outcome for Kyle, he's going to need to win this game. Just a question of will he be able to be in a situation where he can even remotely win game number 3. And then on Lucas's side, the consideration is really how much gambling do you want to do? How much time do you want to give game number 2 if it's a losing effort? You got to leave yourself enough time to win game number 3, unless a draw is going to be an acceptable outcome, depending on when this is in the tournament. Definitely changes that. You don't want to start things off with a draw in the first round very often. Though there are times where that works out okay, depending on the tournament format, going 3-0-1, kind of taking the easy road there. It's not the worst. If you can get paired down in rounds following the first draw, you can potentially have some fairly easy matches relative to winning out at the top tables. More of a strategy you see in chess tournaments than in Magic tournaments. People intentionally drawing in that first round and hoping for easier opponents. Boy, this new London Mull, just a thing of beauty. Really seeing such a huge increase in quality of those starting hands. Seeing some games where people mull to 5 and are still having very good games, even if they're losing efforts. They end up being competitive and fun to watch, very often coming down to decisions instead of just bulk card disadvantage. We got basic, snow-covered swamp and island, powering out this Baleful Strix and a couple of dual lands on the other side of the table. And that's going to likely be, Young Pyromancer, not the best it could be. Wrenn and 6 probably would have been a little bit better in this spot. Fatal Push, and that gets Force of Will generating a token. Another spell being added here in Ponder. I believe we've got a Leovold in the mix there. A very powerful effect in this matchup. Leovold shutting off really the ability to interact favorably on the stack or on the battlefield, turning all the removal spells or even stuff like Wrenn and 6 into card advantage. And Bayou now. And just going to jam the Leovold. So 3/3 body. That is going to make it difficult to swing in. Not going to block the Pyromancer. And leaving just a token behind makes you very vulnerable to Leovold actually getting in there and trying to rough up this Wrenn and 6. A ton of dual lands here. And now a Plague Engineer. And that is one-sided, so even naming humans. Fatal Push taking out the Young Pyromancer. Well, I wonder if it was possible to take out the Plague Engineer. Did he have that fetch land in play? I'm going to assume no. Alright, so Wrenn and 6 now comes down. In a perfect world, blocking the Young Pyromancer and destroying the Plague Engineer would be an absolute blowout when Wrenn and 6 already being activated. Now we've got a Fatal Push clearing the Plague Engineer. And a flashback taking... Oh, no flashback, okay. That was the flashback. The Fatal Push being played from the graveyard. Thanks to the Snapcaster Mage, I thought he had an additional Fatal Push. Now we've got Wrenn and 6 getting potentially cleared. Could block the Snapcaster, but then Wrenn and 6 would finish off the final point of damage. And now Plague Engineer, and that's the play I've been waiting for. Making this Dreadhorde Arcanist a 0-power creature. And Leovold stopping that Brainstorm. Lucas thinking about how bad that interaction is for his Dreadhorde Arcanist. Distracted, plays the Brainstorm into Leovold, which is a blowout play. Of course, Leovold not going to allow him to draw any additional cards, so he has to put 2 cards from his hand back on top of the library. And that Plague Engineer doing its job. That game basically all over, and Lucas giving himself enough time here to win game number 3. He may not have had too much of an option, even if he wanted to allow the game to play out and eat up some time. That would have been pretty quick. Now we've got a couple of keepers and a turn 1 Delver of Secrets, both players playing with a purpose here. Basic Island into Arkham's Astrolabe. And is Lucas considering a daze on this? No, it's not going to get dazed. He draws. Delver not flipping. Wasteland into Dreadhorde Arcanist. That Wasteland could be quite some time before it has a target on the other side of the table. We'll see if he's able to draw those fetch lands and keep a rock-solid mana base, or if he's going to need to stray into dual land territory. And he does. Tropical Island now. With a pass of the turn, Delver flips to Thoughtseize. Arkham's Astrolabe takes out the Delver of Secrets, leaving the Dreadhorde Arcanist, given that there's no instants or sorceries in the graveyard as of yet. Force and a force back. And now, will Lucas Wasteland? He'll go for it. Fetching another dual land here. So Kyle restricted on mana momentarily. Wrenn and 6 looking to fix that. Getting back the fetch land. Lightning Bolt and Dreadhorde Arcanist teaming up. Preserving that Lightning Bolt though. And that is exactly why. Fatal Push taking out this Dreadhorde Arcanist. Wrenn and 6 on Kyle's side. The second one looks to be the backbreaker. Arkham's Astrolabe. Lands being returned. And Wrenn and 6 really just doing it all. Pyroblast on this Brainstorm. Lucas wants to feel like he's doing something here. Can't just keep passing the turn with lands untapped. If he can slow Kyle down a little bit, maybe he can get something going. But Wrenn and 6 nearing its ultimate. Boy, once this emblem fires off, it's going to be very difficult for Lucas if he doesn't have some type of graveyard hate. Literally like a Tormod's effect to get rid of that opposing graveyard, because that retrace is just going to be absolutely brutal for any type of creature. And we're about to see that. Oh, actually didn't go for the emblem. Instead, he actually opted to just ping the Delver. I would have got the emblem and then used a Fatal Push on the Delver. We'll see how this plays out. Yeah, Wrenn and 6 moving backwards. Leovold now. And an opposing Leovold. Ramping back up. Plague Engineer shrinking Leovold. I'm actually not a fan of that flavor on that card, but man, it is incredibly good. Feels like a plague should be way too difficult to control. The precision of only affecting your opponent's creatures does not feel like early days of Magic to me. But that is okay, because this card is an absolute powerhouse. Plague Engineer actually crowding out Liliana, the Last Hope in many decks at this point. And Leovold is going to allow for some card drawing here. Wrenn and 6 cast and then cast again. I'm sorry, activated, cast, and then activated again. Really giving some card advantage back to Lucas. And he is now down 9-16. Lucas ahead on life. Down on board. Baleful Strix now. A blocker to believe in here. Renin 6 is very good at taking these guys out, and I believe this 4 is signaling turn 4 of turns. Brainstorm for Leovold. Puts the cards back. And that is going to do it. So a draw here. Both players fighting tooth and nail, and both coming out with just 1 point here after a hard-fought match. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.